Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bakhair agale, ni hao, tunishme, washmale, ohai, guzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifahal, hale shumat chatore, ahlan wasalan maraba, buna, mucho, gracias, suaviao, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we actually have somebody who's actually the digital learning advisor from Learningwell. He's the CEO of Learningwell himself. He's none other Mr. Rashid Muhammad. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm fine. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. It's superb to have you over here on the show as well. And for the we did touch upon these topics, but we never discussed blended learning itself.
Right.
So let me ask you, what is blended learning?
Blended learning basically is when you divide your learning process into two. One is the traditional classroom setting, face-to-face kind of learning, and then that is added with online, on the computer, through internet learning.
Yeah.
When you blend the two, it becomes blended learning. This is the simplest or the basic definition of blended learning.
Okay.
Then we take it to the next level, which you just talked about, which is flipped classroom. In a flipped classroom, what happens is that a teacher gives the lecture to the student to be viewed at home.
Yeah.
He watches that lecture at home, comes to school and does his homework in the school. Because think about it, the time that you need the teacher the most is when you're doing your homework.
Yeah.
And when at that time the teacher is not available.
Yeah.
So you go for private tuitions, you go for academies, coaching centers, etc. So that is flipped, and the student comes to the class and does the homework, and the teacher goes around the class and sees that who is having difficulty and addresses that difficulty rather than giving a standard lecture and only caters to the brightest in the class. So you bring the backbenchers to the front.
All right, so this is sort of, when we're talking about it, this is sort of a very great initiative, first of all. And then when you're sort of including everyone, like you mentioned, the backbenchers are now coming to the front as well, customized learning, because when you say you're taking the homework to your home as well, there are ABC questions that everyone has to do, answer dhoonde is paragraph mein se, that thing happening.
But when
Exactly. But when you're watching a video, first of all, a visual medium is the most effective, right? And then when it is personalized on your own desktop and you're watching it, this is just for you. First of all, you feel important as a student, you know that this person is really willing to teach you. And then the next day you can actually customize your queries and ask in person. That is, I feel like, a great initiative.
You see, in Pakistani perspective, these are the issues that generally we feel for or we see in more developed countries. But in Pakistani perspective, the issue and the problem is much, much bigger than that.
Okay.
See, our educational ecosystem comprises of the investor, the school, the student, the teacher, and the parents. Problem here is that the parents are not able to pay the right amount of fee to the school. School cannot engage the right quality of the teachers because they do not get as much as they need. And in the end, the delivery of the lecture, the quality of that delivery suffers. We have
just because of the fact that the parents are not able to pay the right amount of money.
Absolutely, because see, I mean, pure mathematics, economics. If a teacher is getting 20,000 rupees a month, he has a better opportunity. If he's a good teacher, he has a better opportunity in corporate sector. So he would move out to corporate sector, and the schools will be left with probably not that quality, except a few elite schools.
Okay, so there's a disagreement. I'm sorry that I'm interjecting, but then I think that it's not the parents. I think it's the schools who are not paying the teachers well.
Exactly, I agree with that.
Because I'm talking in context of private schools, I'm not talking about public schools. Obviously, public is a very different sector, and it's a very different arena. The ball game is very different over there. Everybody's a government employee, so they get according to their scale. So we have to come down to private school to discuss about that as well. I think every day, for example, if there's 30 students in one class, and if one parent, roughly on average, a private school fees is somewhere around 22 or 23,000 rupees a month.
Monthly.
So imagine that one class will actually make how much?
Oh, you are talking about the elite schools.
Okay. So
majority
okay,
of
so you're
if I can give you some statistics, there are almost 18,000 schools in Karachi city. Out of them, 6,000 so-called English medium schools charge less than 800 rupees a month.
Really?
Okay.
Yes. And
where are those schools?
These schools.
But then what you're saying is that if the schools are charging less than 800, it's the school's fault. It's not the parents' fault. And because that's what the school is asking for. So if the school is asking for only 800 rupees, which we are definitely, not doing justice with the topic, but we have picked up on.
Yeah,
I think it's the school asking for lesser amount of money, and the only thing why school is actually asking for lesser money is because they know that their largest sector or the largest segment of the society cannot afford to give 21,000 rupees a month.
Yeah, no, but that...
We are going into another, I mean, we are digressing.
I get that, we're drifting away.
I mean, think about it, that you already have about 20 million kids not going to school.
Yes.
And if these so-called schools are also not there, then another 10, 12 million will be out of school.
But that's great. Now let's leave this
come back
debate.
to
And let's come back. So I've got two questions for you. Now the first one is, you can make us understand, because you're one of those people who advise on digital learning as well, and how we can do things. Now for all of those kids, ever since there's been this criteria that you go to school, then you have to come back, you have to do your homework. If you have to do your homework, which means that you cannot complete your work within the school, don't you think that the courses the schools are teaching are lengthy, first of all, and that they really need to be shortened a little bit as well, so that whatever the kid needs to do, he or she does it in school? The other part which I want to talk about is that when we speak about digitalization, we see that there are these fancy projects, there are projectors, there are these fancy slides, and all new ways of showing you the content. There's no change in the content, but there are changes in the way we are showing the content. Do you think that will actually help us
addressing
to move
the first question, which is
digitalization?
very, very important, that how much is the right amount of education or knowledge that we need to give? It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. I'm sure you must have seen kids telling you, do ka pahada, 2 1s are 2, 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6. Now what is this 2s are 3s are 4s are? This is basically, I mean, grammar apart, this is basically rote learning, because they do not understand what they are saying. They are just memorizing what they are saying, and it's only information, it's not knowledge. Information becomes knowledge when you understand. And if somebody who doesn't know that 2 2s are means 2 sets of 2 different things, then at the beginning, if you are memorizing mathematics, when you reach calculus and at that level, then obviously there's nothing. So it's not about the volume that you are throwing upon the kids, it's the quality of the teaching, quality of the delivery. And that's where this digital learning helps, because you are democratizing education, you are giving the same quality of lecture to a person, to a kid sitting in Bonaire or sitting in Karachi, sitting in Lahore or in Toba Tek Singh, wherever. So across the board, you give the same quality to all kids. It is accessible to them all the time, so they can repeat it, to see it again, watch it again, understand the concept. And when they go to the school, the teacher is there to further help them in clarifying the concept. So it's all about conceptual learning. See, the other thing that is happening in the world is that with this advancement in medical science, lives are getting longer and longer, lifespan is getting longer. And there's rapid change in technology, so jobs are changing. In Islamabad alone, there are about 15,000 Kareem drivers. In 2 to 3 years or maybe 5 years, you'll have driverless cars. So these 15,000 people will go jobless. They need to learn something new. And if they do not have that concept of self-learning, if they are the product of 2 2s are 4 and 2 3s are 6, they will not be able to self-learn anything.
So that's great. So now moving towards the second question, which I asked, that we are only changing the medium through which we were sharing content, but the content is the same. But when we talk about digitalization, I would actually want to see, for example, when I went to a university in England, just for a tour, and I was visiting a class, I could see that they were trying to teach students through 3D visualization as well, where they, for example, if it was a brain, they will dissect it just on the slides as well. The pieces will go apart, and they will show them that, okay, this is the nerve which is most important, something of that sort. That's something which I haven't seen so far in the education system in Pakistan for better understanding of the students.
We are trying to do this, but obviously 3D videos are heavier and more expensive to make. But a few things in 3D we are trying to do. Generally, we are doing 2D, and we are trying to explain the concept as much as using those technologies. this is the first step. Going second step could be 3D, and then could be VR, and could be much more than that.
Augmented reality.
Exactly. So, but what we are trying to do today is reach the masses, reach the remote areas of the country, and try to deliver the same quality of lecture to them, rather than doing something really extreme technology for a small number of people.
Right.
So it's basically the outreach which we are working on, rather than kind of technology and using the
content,
the kind of elite technology, if I may say, because obviously VR would not be available to all. It's an expensive technology, even if you use Google's.
But we can have a device or two, and then we can probably bring in classes so that after one student, the other one can actually experience it at all. But I think the experience needs to be there.
Shazad, the volume of the problem is so big. When you have 20 million kids out of school,
but we have to start somewhere, no?
Yeah, so that's why we are trying to start at the basic and go into the field, and then see that what are the challenges there, and then based on the feedback we try to improve it further.
All right, but here's the thing, when you mentioned that how some kids just know by heart that 2 2s are 2, and stuff. So the thing is, if the teacher is not 2 2s are 4. All right, I didn't learn that. So here's the thing. So if I feel like that's the teacher's responsibility to make them understand, there are 2 sets of 2, and if you can combine them, what happens? So my question being, when we are literally like now trying to rush towards digitalization, although we should have started earlier though. But I feel like it's a much bigger pressure on the teachers, because now that earlier we used to go, like Shazad mentioned, to libraries looking for certain books and whatnot, looking for our teachers to make, understand things and stuff. But now we have everything on the expense of our own phone. So the teachers should actually be up to date with knowledge every other day, so that they can actually be at the status of the teacher. You know what I mean? So are we looking towards any teachers training programs as well?
This is actually the main issue. And schools are not able to spend on teachers. So what we have done is that we have set up a separate website specifically for teachers training. That's not purely blended, that's only online learning. But we expect that teachers would go there and build their capacity, and practically it is for free. We don't charge for that. They just need to come to us, contact us, and then we'll make it free for them. But that's the main issue, and we have our sharp focus on teachers training, and we are developing a capacity building program for the teachers, which would be an online program. And we hope that our remote area teachers and teachers in the schools where schools are not able to spend on their training, those will take benefit of that. So yeah, we have started working on that as well.
Okay, that's great news.
And that's great, and that's reassuring as well. But ladies and gentlemen, there's another advantage of online learning, or e-learning as we say, or telecommunication, e-learning. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that the benefit over here is going to be for everybody. Imagine that we've actually been speaking about inclusive education for all. And whenever we talk about inclusive education, just imagine that people probably were born with Down syndrome, or people who are disabled, who cannot go to the schools, or the schools do not allow them to study with all the other kids. Imagine that they can learn the same course by sitting at home. And I think that this is one of the most important things which we needed to do. But one more thing, and that is that whenever we speak about e-learning, whenever we speak about blended learning, there's this one project of yours with the name of Kitab, if I'm not wrong.
That's not ours.
Okay, that's not yours, but there's this project. How does that project help people in learning?
See, I'm not aware of the details of Kitab project, but any digital project that basically helps in bringing those who are not able to get the most out of the classes to that level. You mentioned kids with special needs. These, the next level of technology that we are going to use is by analyzing the data, that how much time a student has spent on a particular type of questions, whether he was attempting it right or wrong. The psychiatrists can tell us that this kid probably has some challenges, maybe autism, maybe something else, and we can help in early diagnosis of those, and can then help the kids to come up to the speed by using some different methods and different support systems. So yes, inclusivity is very much possible through using technology, and we are also working in that direction.
All right, that is great. Now I want to talk about online courses and really appreciate the fact that, well, we're living in 2020, first of all. A person living in Pakistan can actually attain a degree from Harvard at the expense of his own laptop. Wow. That is amazing to believe in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when we're talking about digitalization again, is it possible in the future with your initiative Learningwell, or probably with any other, that persons like me, for example, if I choose let's say if I choose economics to study for my bachelor's, that is 4 years. There are certainly certain credit hours that I have to complete, but so many courses to choose from that teachers choose from. So can we individually, me and my class fellow, fill those credit hours with our own choice of subjects through the learning management systems?
That is absolutely possible, and that's how some people are planning to implement it. That's the university level.
Right.
Yes.
We are trying to do the same at school level.
Okay, okay.
See, there are various learning management systems, but most of them work in isolation. The curriculum is independent of the LMS.
Okay.
LMS is using some other content which is not related to curriculum. I mean, what we are doing here is in Pakistan is that we have taken the federal and provincial curricula, and we have built the content according to those curricula. Okay. Our books are developed on that, and then we have lesson by lesson table of content.
Okay.
That's probably the only company doing this in the world, by the way. Otherwise, you find the publishers separately doing it, and the IT companies doing the content separately.
Right.
So what you are saying is that yes, we need to make it easy for the students to pick and choose what they want and complete the credit hours. At university level, yeah, it is possible, but university probably is going out of fashion maybe for some fields. As I said, that the technology is changing, new jobs are coming, and we do not even know that what kind of jobs will be there 10 years down the road. So no university can prepare you for something that nobody knows.
Exactly.
So you have to develop yourself as a self-learner.
Absolutely.
Gone are the days when you earn one degree and then rest of your life you earn on that degree.
But those were the simple days as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you very much for saying that. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wake-up call for everybody as well, that, you know, for whatever we've learned, there are points in life where you have to unlearn and then learn again. So for everybody who's actually going to adopt this kind of characteristic within their own personality this will be very helpful. But one last thing, sir, and that is, I don't know how we're going to justify it, and in the days to follow, I think that it will be there. But eventually, whenever we meet somebody who's actually done an online degree, and whenever we meet somebody who's actually done a degree from a university, the level of respect is very different, and the level of, it's very different. So, when somebody tells me that, okay, I've done an online course, what is an online course? Yeah, anybody can do that, because you're at home, even if the book is open or the closed, or I don't know how the program is planned, that you can cheat, and you can pretend as if you knew everything while you didn't knew anything.
Absolutely. Skills are important.
Yes. So
meet me again in 2030 and you will see that people graduating today may not be at the same level, while those who have acquired skills through online or through conventional learning, they would be doing much better than the degree holders, provided they have developed those skills.
So are we trying to say that in days to come we might probably have just online schools or online universities recognized by HEC or something?
You cannot replace teachers. Teachers will always be there, and there's a lot that.
But obviously, they'll be giving tutorials on YouTube then, or lectures on YouTube, or whatever platform they're on.
See, the skills that World Economic Forum has identified as skills that those are needed in 10 years from now, those require support. Collaboration is a big thing in that, and you cannot develop collaboration skills unless you are guided by your teachers.
Exactly.
Online, machines, digital, those cannot help you in that. So you need to go to school, you need to sit together and collaborate.
Thank you.
Well, I feel like you're saying that schools are never going to go out of date, because, of course, no matter how much we digitalize ourselves or improve ourselves in terms of technology,
but they still want some me time. They still want to send their kids to school.
Yeah, but schools and teachers will always be there. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your brilliant ideas for the betterment of Pakistan as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now we are headed out to a very short break.